I'm going to talk about 6 common mistakes men make in their relationship and what you can do to prevent that from happening so she doesn't leave you, cheat on you, or turn into a sexless marriage. Number 1, believing that things are just good with no supporting evidence. Now, I was guilty of this myself back when I was previously married, 2013 or so. We didn't have any really big fights. There were no real conflicts outside of like maybe some people staying over at the house, or maybe she wanted to do something one weekend and I wanted to play video games or something. The problem is that I felt like everything was fine without checking in with her and really seeing if things were really truly good. Most guys just say, yeah, we're good, we haven't fought a lot and things are fine, so things are fine. But the problem is with a woman or your wife, things are either getting better or they're getting worse. There's none of this just like hovering. And you'll feel that yourself. She'll feel like, yeah, we're not just going anywhere. Things aren't really happening. They're not really growing. We don't feel like anything's happening in our relationship. Or maybe get sidetracked with the kids and you just assume that things are fine. Or maybe you even think that you can rely on your commitment to each other, your marriage vows, to get you through the hard times. And this is a problem. This is the biggest mistake guys make, is they get saddled by mediocrity. They think that it's okay. Things are going okay, so we're fine. And that's the biggest one. The second problem guys have in a relationship is they're not willing to walk away. Now, yes, you and your wife are married. You made a commitment to each other, made a commitment under God, and it's like you don't believe in getting a divorce. For some guys and some women will take advantage of that, which means she can say whatever she wants, she can do whatever she wants, and you'll just stay there and take it. Why? Because she's your wife. And you're loyal. Men generally are very loyal to their women. It's very rare that I come across a guy who's cheated on his wife who wasn't absolutely starving for attention in some form or fashion. And so when things get spicy in a relationship, he's not willing to walk away. He's not willing to say, hey, enough is enough. And then she's like, oh yeah? Well, what are you going to do about it? He's like, well, I married her, so I guess I can't do anything. And then when he does about to do something, he is about to walk away, he thinks about his children. He's like, well, I got to stay together for the kids. Forgetting the fact that he is showing his children how to operate in a relationship by not standing up for himself. And so what he ends up doing is he waylays his children on his own burdens. It becomes a cycle of betrayal throughout the generations. And so he says, whole purpose of, I'm not willing to walk away, which means he stayed with a woman and got married to her when he probably should have walked 15 years prior. Most guys do this because they don't feel like there is another woman that he can have. He's like, this is the best one that I've been able to attract, so I guess I got to put up with it. He's afraid of being alone. He's afraid of being able to stand out there and actually attract new women. He'll tell himself, well, the dating landscape's changed so much with Tinder and Instagram and everything else happening. It's true. But women are still the same, and so are guys. The problem is you're lying to yourself. You don't want to stand up for yourself and stand up to your own fears and see through it. So you being unwilling to walk away from a relationship means that she gets to hold the trump card all the time, which means that she gets to say, hey, if I don't like what you're doing, I'm going to leave you. And this is usually where most relationships get to the point where they don't get better. And because they don't get better, it ends up point number 3, the guy cannot stand heavy emotion. In other words, his wife, she can lose her mind and he'll just put up with it. Or what will happen is the manipulation foot in the door technique, she'll just give him a little bit of heat, then a little bit more heat, a little bit more heat over the years, and before he knows it, he has no boundaries. He's not standing up for himself anywhere. And he's like, I guess happy wife, happy life, when the fact that she's miserable and he's miserable. It's ridiculous. And because he can't stand her heavy emotions, he can't say, hey, no, this will not stand, this aggression. And because he's not willing to walk away and he can't stand the heavy emotions of his woman, he just lets things fester. They get worse. And when she's acting like an unhinged maniac, he can't sit there and be like, baby, I get it. I understand. I understand this what's going on. Tell me more. Tell me more what's happening. And because he can't do that, can't be that capacity to hold the container of her emotions, she starts to resent him even more. She's like, he doesn't understand me. In fact, I'm more worried about his emotions and trying not to make him upset all the time. And I can't be who I need to be as a woman. I can't really unleash. I can't tell him how I'm really feeling. It'll upset him. It'll destabilize him. So what ends up happening is guys end up going back to what that worked for them in the past when they were first getting together. Maybe he needs to work on his business more. Maybe he says, okay, I'll just do more of what she wants. I'll just make her happier. And so instead of changing the way that he operates, he just doubles down on what he knows, which is number 4, just doubling down and working harder instead of working smarter, working differently, trying to figure out how she actually operates. Most guys will say, well, things are going well at home. She keeps complaining about not having enough money to go on vacations, or she wants this Escalade. And so what he'll do is he'll go double down in his business, thinking that all that money will make things better at home. And while she's chasing after all these material possessions and these experiences, he's busting his ass over at work all the time, trying to build his business and giving her what she wants. And when the cheap thrills of all those new experiences leave her, as all things do, she starts to wonder why she's not fulfilled in a relationship. And it's because he's not there actually being present with her. He's not present at all. And because he's not present at all, because he's not there with her, like really present, like I am here with you, talking to you, he finds that his wife isn't interested in sex. And that's just how it happens, that relationships and marriages start to fall apart. Not necessarily fall apart, but they get into this complacent place where nobody really wants to have sex. They're not that interested. And so the guy starts begging for table scraps of affection. When the real problem is that he's just not being present with her. He's not willing to dive in deep with the emotional sauce. He's not willing to walk through hell in order to make his relationship heavenly. And so in this place where he's not present with her because he's putting all his time into his kids or trying to kowtow to how she's being because she's overly emotional. He can't deal with all the emotions. And he has no boundaries because he can't ultimately say, hey, I'll walk away. So he just starts capitulating and just following whatever she says, the game of happy wife, happy life. And he wonders why his wife doesn't want to have sex with him anymore. He's not connecting with her. He's too afraid to really deal with the emotional stuff. And he's not willing to stand up for himself, which means that she doesn't respect him. And she's starting to resent him. And if she doesn't respect him, then how can she follow under his strength and leadership? No woman wants to be with a weak guy. We all know that. As guys, we intrinsically know that growing up. When we hit 13 years old, we know she wants to be with a strong guy. That's why we try to show off. We have to show off because we're not there yet. We don't believe in ourselves. And we keep bringing that energy into our relationship. Of course she doesn't want to have sex with you. She doesn't see your demonstration of strength and leadership. You put up with all her bullshit, which means that she sees you as weak yet again. Apologize for what you want. You aren't able to lead into the conflict. And then when you are present with her, you're not really there. Your mind's on the business, or like she's having a rage out fit and you're like, I don't know what to do with this. How do I just make her happy again? And that's the problem is guys, they try to make their wife happy instead of saying, hey woman, I love you, but you're responsible for your happiness. And I'll be here with you and I'll love on you. But at the same time, you cannot rely on, you can't just blame me for you being unhappy. You have to create happiness within yourself and in the place that you created, which is this marriage. And because of all of these things, he's completely lost himself in his marriage. He's completely lost himself in being a father. He doesn't even know where he's going anymore. The business that he was excited to build, now it's like, okay, is it just a vehicle for my family? Is it just a vehicle for my wife to spend more money? Is she going to get another handbag, another vacation? And he realizes that, maybe the relationship's pretty good on vacation, but when they come back home from it, they're right back to where they started. And so he's in this space of just not understanding where he's at all. And so these 6 problems, they compound. They compound on each other. And if you're in this relationship where you're never having sex with your wife and she never really gives you the time of day other than to give you a snide remark and you don't really stand up to her, well, then you're in this situation, your relationship's probably going to fall apart pretty soon. If you're in that situation, what I need you to do is go down below and click the link. Talk to one of my guys. We'll get it turned around within a couple of weeks. And if it can't be turned around, well, then we'll give you the action plan to move forward even faster. The cool thing is the process is just the same. And if you like this video, got a lot of value out of it, please hit subscribe and like it, so that it'll share to your friends who probably also need it. Anyways, brother, I love you. I'll see you soon.